Mid-season 1.5 is here for Marvel Rivals with the addition of Human Torch, The Thing, and the new Convergence map Central Park. This is a big patch with massive balance changes, so let's not waste any time here. For Captain America, he's now able to pull up his shield, Living Legend, while in the air, which is a massive quality of life buff. For his Vibranium Energy Saw, the projectile speed is going to be increased from 60 meters per second to 80 meters per second, and the ricochet speed after a hit is also going to be increased from 100 meters per second to 150 meters per second. His ultimate cost is also going to be reduced from 3100 to 2800, allowing him to build it a lot quicker. Additionally, Cap will now be able to separate his Sentinel Strike from his melee attacks when he uses the melee button. That means you can use melees while his shield is thrown or during his team-up ability Charged Aegis State to help activate those first two hits of Sentinel Strike. Additionally, while he's airborne, using melee attacks will no longer auto-trigger that slam ability because they're decoupled. Doctor Strange, a quick HP nerf from 650 to 600. For Groot, his Thornlash Wall will get a buff for its placement range. It's going to be increased from 15 meters to 18 meters. For Hulk, his HP gain from being the team-up anchor is going to be reduced from 150 to 100, so basically he loses 50 HP. For Magneto, his primary weapon, Iron Volley damage, is going to be increased from 75 to 80. It's going to be plus 5 extra damage on its projectile, which allows him to combo 250 HP heroes like so. However, his Magnetic Curtain energy cost is going to be increased from 50 to 65, so that resource bar is going to drain a lot quicker, and the maximum duration he can keep the shield up is going to be decreased from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. So the trade-off between doing a little bit more damage versus being a lot less tanky right now. For Peni Parker, her team-up symbiote bond is going to get buffed, where the duration's reduced from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, but they're changing that 50% damage reduction to complete invincibility during this duration. For Thor, they're removing the short cooldown penalty after his Rune Awakening skill duration ends, so he'll feel a lot less clunky. For Venom, his Frenzied Arrival Slam has been changed from a vertical knockback to what they call an inwards knockback at a 75-degree angle. The cost of his ultimate, Feast of the Abyss, is also going to be cheaper from 2800 to 2500. For Black Panther, his team-up with Magik, the rewind time for it will be reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, and additionally, the conversion ratio of his lost health that gets converted to that blue overhealth will be increased from 0.5 to 0.8. For the Duelist, we have Black Widow buffs, who has honestly been underperforming according to the stats that are public right now. So the first thing they're going to do is increase her rifle ammo from 8 to 15. For her ultimate, they're nerfing the slowdown effect from 80% to 55%. But they're adding a new vulnerable effect on hit, which makes enemies take 15% more damage. That means you can one-shot them now. For Hawkeye, who is also a very underperforming duelist, his base health is going up from 250 to 275. The projectile damage from the blast arrow is going to be nerfed from 20 to 15, but the AoE splash damage will be increased from 25 to 32, so it is more damage around the area without having to hit it direct. They're also reducing the cooldown of his Crescent Slash from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, and if he ults, the bow drawing speed during that ultimate will be increased, and they're going to raise the damage multiplier of his shots while the ultimate is active from 1.2 to 1.35. For Hela's weapon, Night Sword Thorn, the damage falloff at 30 meters is going to be increased from 70% to 80%, so at this range, you're going to be dealing 80% of your damage instead of 70% of your damage. That's a buff. Alright, for Iron Fist, first his base HP is going to be increased from 250 to 300. Next, they're going to be nerfing his normal punches called Jeet Kune Do. So the first, second, and fifth attack damage will be reduced from 32 to 30. The third and fourth damage is going to be reduced from 16 to 15, and the sixth and final hit is going to be reduced from 55 to 50. Obviously, these punches happen very fast. All you need to know is you're going to be doing less damage overall with this. However, when you pop Dragon's Defense, your next attacks become Yatji Changkun, the really fast empowered stuff. Now, the damage of each of these hits are actually nerfed from 19 to 10 damage, but it now does percentage damage, kind of like how Wolverine works, equal to 1.7% of the opponent's maximum health. So in short, you're going to be dealing more damage to tanks above 500 HP, and then less overall to the pre-patch against squishier targets. Alright, for his Harmony Recovery, he's going to gain more from 50 to 150, and a decay mechanism has been introduced where 1 second after this ability ends, that additional health will now deplete at a rate of 25 per second. For his Dragon's Defense, he's also getting a buff to the bonus health conversion from 150 to 200. And overall, you can see the direction they're taking with Iron Fist, less of a backline assassin and hopefully more durable and survivable to help assassinate some tanks in the front line. Okay, for Iron Man, they're actually buffing the Unibeam damage from 120 per second to 140 per second, and the Armored Overdrive Unibeam is going to be increased from 180 to 190 damage per second. However, they are nerfing the Gamma Charged Hulk Team-Up Unibeam damage from 220 to 200. They're basically trying to make Iron Man be played independently from the Hulk. For Magik, they're nerfing the damage dealt by the Demon from 80 per second to 72 per second, and they're reducing the energy cost of her Darkchild Ultimate form from 3700 to 3400. For Mr. Fantastic, the flexible elongation ability, that's one that brings him to the target. The little area effect will be increased from 2.5 to 5 meters. Also added a bit of soft CC with a little bit of knockback around the target as well. To compensate though, the cooldown is going to be increased from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. For his ultimate Brainiac Bounce, the damage per bounce is going to be increased from 50 to 70. However, there is going to be damage fall off beginning at about 3 meters away from the center to a maximum of 50 damage. And remember, every bounce increases the damage, so at the maximum reduction will be capped at 50. The ultimate cost will also be increased from 2800 to 3400, so it takes a little bit longer to build. For Moon Knight, the Hand of Khonshu's Talon falling speed will be reduced. It's basically a nerf to it, and they also corrected the damage trigger logic for it. The old mechanism had it so it always dealt 75 damage when you're in the center of the spell field. That's been removed, and each of those falling talons will now deal 150 damage instead of 75. For Moon Knight's team up with Cloak and Dagger, Lunar Force, he will now continuously heal 25 HP per second when he's in that area. A nice little buff for it. For Psylocke, same thing with Black Panther, where they reduced the rewind time for the team-up Psionic Disc from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And additionally, the conversion ratio of your lost health will be increased from 0.5 to 0.8. For Scarlet Witch, her ultimate's getting a small buff where she gains 100 bonus health when she activates it to ensure she can pull it off without dying. It will also decay at 50 per second afterwards. For Spider-Man, for his web shooters, the recharge time per ammo is going to be reduced from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds. For Spider-Man's team up with Venom, the explosion suit duration is going to be reduced from 4 seconds to 1 second. That sounds crazy, but they're replacing that 50% damage reduction with a complete invincibility effect for that short 1 second. For Star-Lord, he's getting an increase in his rocket propulsion maximum energy from 1200 to 1800. In other words, he can fly for a lot longer. Storm is receiving a few nerfs here. The damage fall off of her primary fire, the Wind Blade, at 30 meters distance and beyond will be changed from 70% to 60%. For her aura damage boost, they're reducing it for her from 16% to 12%. However, the damage boost for the allies is going to be increased from 8% to 10%. And finally, they're nerfing the damage from the Enhanced Thunder during weather control from 30% to 25%. For supports, Adam Warlock, his primary fire, Quantum Magic, the damage per shot is going to be increased from 55 to 60. Additionally, the damage fall off at 40 meters will be changed from 50% to 60%. He's also getting a buff to the Soul Bond, where the healing amount is going to be increased from 10 per second to 15 per second. Cloak and Dagger getting a buff to Terror Cape first. The vulnerability on enemies is increased from 20% to 28%. However, some big changes to her ultimate. First, each dash duration is going to be reduced from 10 seconds to 8 seconds each. You can no longer stack the dashes. It only calculates one of them if you overlay them on top of each other. The cost is going to be increased from 3,400 to 4,000, so it takes a little longer to build. So after all those nerfs, the one compensatory buff is that it's faster in between each dashes. The pause in between is reduced from 1 second to 0.67 seconds, so maybe you can dodge the Magneto ult a little bit easier. Overall, the uptime of this ultimate is cut down by quite a bit. For Invisible Woman, the ultimate cost is going to be increased from 4,000 to 4,300, so that one's going to take longer to build. Loki as well, his ultimate cost is going to be increased from 3,400 to 4,000, but he is getting his ammo buffed from 10 to 12. Luna Snow, a nerf to her ult cost from 4,000 to 4,500. However, the team up with Iron Fist, the Frozen Chi, the healing is going to be increased from 50 to 75, and the slow effect is going to be increased from 20% to 30%. You can see pretty clearly that Marvel Rivals is evidently nerfing the triple support meta by making all of them cost way more. And that's it for the patch. The mid-season 1.5 is here. For 2 weeks, you can also get Twitch drops at my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/KarQ, 30 minutes for that spray and 2 hours for the Hela emote.